Thanks for joining us. But then another Sure. All right, welcome. Good afternoon. It's good to see some new faces in here that we did this presentation this morning at 10 a.m. So we have some new faces with us at 6, and we're grateful to have you all. I want to welcome you. Thank you for attending tonight's new precinct opportunities committee presentation. Our committee has been together since just this summer, really. And we're going to get more into that with Dennis, but I think, did I introduce myself? I think I know everyone in here. That I'm Shannon Nettles. I'm the election supervisor. We have a presentation tonight to go over with you regarding some possible changes with our polling places and precincts for 2024. So I'm going to turn it over to Dennis, and Dennis is going to give us a more thorough description of what we're talking about and who's on the committee and all that good stuff, okay? And y'all feel free, if you have questions during the course of the presentation, you're welcome to raise your hand. We are recording this, so everyone knows, so you're welcome to raise your hand. That way we can bring over the microphone to you, and we'll all be able to hear you, okay? So again, thanks for coming, and I'm going to turn it over to Dennis.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Once again, thank you all for attending today. My name is Dennis Urban. I am the elections technician for the county, and I put together this presentation for everybody so that we could go over what we're planning to do with the precincts for the 2024 election. None of this is set in stone yet. We formed this committee to make recommendations to the Board of Elections and Registration. So we're very much looking forward to any kind of public feedback or comments that you might have so that we may incorporate that into the changes that we intend to make. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Scott for that clicker. Some technical difficulties has happened this morning as well. All right, so I'm just going to go over our agenda really quickly. So for slides 3 and now to 7, we're going to have an introduction, basically who we are as the New Precinct Opportunities Committee, or the NPOC, and who is it that's making these changes to how you vote. And then I'm going to move on to our primary goals with this committee and then the areas of opportunity that we saw. And then after 5 or 6 slides, we're going to move down to the summary, which I'll give a brief recap of what I went over, and then for public comments. But also, if you think of a question that you have and you think it's really pressing during the slide, don't hesitate to raise your hand. I'm more than happy to take any questions during the course of the presentation. So who are we? So we were appointed by Camden County's Board of Elections and Registration. We have 3 election staff members, 3 election board members, 2 political representatives, and 1 honorary member. So the election staff members, that's going to start with our chair, the NPOC chair, who is also the election supervisor, Ms. Shannon Nettles, who did the introduction today. Then our assistant election supervisor, Ms. Deborah Felix, she was also appointed as NPOC vice chair. And then myself, the elections technician, and I was appointed as the Geographical Information System, or GIS lead, as well as the mapping lead. Next, with our election board members, we have our chair and District 5 representative, Mr. Kyle Rapp, our vice chair and District 2 representative, Ms. Clara Harden, and then finally our District 4 representative, Ms. Julie McCullough. So why did we form? So after last year, skip. My apologies. So, and finally, our political representatives and honorary member, we had Dr. Janet Bradford, who unfortunately could not be with us this afternoon. She was our Democratic Party representative. We had Miss Donna Schwartz as our Republican Party representative. I also want to give a special thanks to Miss Kelly Stofflet. She was our Republican Party representative before she was appointed to the Board of Elections Registration for the District 3. So I want to give a special thanks to her. And finally, our honorary member is Miss Mary Beckman. So again, why did we form? So after the 2022 elections, we as a staff got together and we wanted to look at a way to improve the voting experience for the voters in Camden County. And the way we did that is we took a look at various different things, be it turnout percentages of where people are voting and, you know, what precincts were underused and all of that. And we got together and we kind of came up with these 2 issues that we wanted to focus on: voter participation. You know, we wanted to encourage greater voter participation to the polls. Additionally, we wanted to increase voter access to these polling locations. And then we also wanted to optimize our polling locations. We wanted to make these polling places efficient, and we wanted to make it to where they were run as smoothly as possible. So we got together, we did a presentation to the board, and the board voted to create our committee. So in our committee's founding document, we had the stated goals of assess, optimize, and recommend. So assess Camden County's precincts and all relevant data pertaining to them, increase voter efficiency and voter participation in elections, and to recommend modifications for improvements to Camden County's precincts. And I believe that we did that with these areas of opportunity. So I'm going to start with North St. Mary's, and we had robust additions to all of North St. Mary's. We actually grabbed a great chunk of voters from the Agape precinct. I'll go touch on that more in a moment. We reorganized the precincts, North Kingsland and Kingsland, and combined them into what will be historic Kingsland. And then finally, with Browntown and West Kingsland, the consolidation, as well as Mush Bluff and St. Mary's finally being unified. So I'm going to start with North St. Mary's. We transferred voters that currently reside in and around the Mush Bluff area. So Mush Bluff Road, Elliott's Plantation, those voters. And we put them into the North St. Mary's precinct. So what's our reason for this? Well, first, it's a much easier commute to the polls for those voters. Right now, they're having to drive all the way over to Agape from all the way up north in St. Mary's. With this change, they're a straight shot down Charlie Smith Senior Highway, just one road. Next, we'll increase the number of voters in the North St. Mary's precinct. It's not a secret that that precinct was previously underused. We had the lowest turnout percentage period in that precinct, and we wanted to do something about it. We wanted to, make it more effective and get more turnout to that precinct. And then finally, something that I think might be overlooked a little bit, we reduced the number of voters in the St. Mary's precinct. They're voting at Agape. Agape is our second largest precinct, housing over 7,000 voters. And with this change, we could take a good 800 of them
and move them to the North St. Mary's precinct. Next, I'll move on to historic Kingsland. So our actions here are to merge the North Kingsland and Kingsland precincts and then expand. Again, I think that should be southwestern. I think Scott's using the PowerPoint from earlier. The southwestern border to US 17 from Scrubby Bluff Road. So what these actions will do is it's going to bring these people together. It's going to bring them together in a unified location. And our reasoning for this is the current polling locations, they're becoming increasingly unusable. So with the DDS location in the Board of Education room, it's got outlet problems. It's not keeping up with the size and the growth in the area. It's just not going to continue to be usable. Same with the North Center, just a walk down the way here. It's really small. The outlet situation isn't great. And we needed a solution for both of these precincts. And the best solution we got was actually combining them and using the Kingsland Municipal Court, which is just a stone toss away over there. It gives us a great electrical outlet situation. It's got more than enough space to house the required machines. And you know, as I might remind you, we have a minimum 1 machine per 250 voters that we have to set up for our elections. Maybe not runoffs, but for the presidential preference primary, the first election in 2024, we have to contend with that. And I think we think as a committee that the Kingsland Municipal Court, which was offered to us by the city of Kingsland, gives us that opportunity. And then finally, for those voters that's seeing a change from southwest of Scrubby Bluff Road, they're seeing an easier commute to the polls. No longer do they have to drive all the way down to Harbor Worship Center to cast their ballot. Now they're just a short drive over to the Kingsland Municipal Court. And now I'm going to move on to some minor enhancements. This is just some housekeeping that the committee decided to do. The first is going to be Browntown and West Kingsland. We're consolidating them. These two precincts, they already vote at the same polling location. They're basically the same place in all but name, in function. In function, they are the same location. So what we're doing is we're combining them into West Kingsland. And what this does is it makes it easier for voters to understand what's going on, where they're voting, what their precinct is, all of these things. Oh, I vote at Harbor. Well, I'm in the Browntown precinct. Well, I'm in the West Kingsland precinct. So which one of us is right? Well, you're both right. And now you'll both just be West Kingsland. The same principle applies to Mush Bluff and St. Mary's. Mush Bluff and St. Mary's, again, both vote at the Agape precinct. Now they're just going to be considered one precinct, the St. Mary's precinct. This is going to make it easier on voters. It's going to make it easier on staff. It's an overall intuitive change. Finally, Woodbine. So our action with Woodbine is to change the polling location from Woodbine City Hall to the First Baptist Church on 8th Street. The reasoning for this is simple. Woodbine City Hall, it's small, doesn't have great electoral situation, but it's usable. However, the First Baptist Church gives us a larger operating room, a great electrical setup, and it's more amenable to our election cycle in 2024. With City Hall, you never know when there's going to be a city meeting called. You never know when that room is going to be in use and we can't keep our elections equipment secure. With First Baptist Church, we're able to do that, and they are more than amenable to what our schedule is for the upcoming election. So just for a brief summary, in North St. Mary's, we're adding voters from the Mush Bluff precinct to encourage voter participation in the North St. Mary's precinct. We're reorganizing Kingsland, North Kingsland and Kingsland, to create a new precinct, Historic Kingsland, to account for current areas for improvement. And then for Browntown and West Kingsland and Mush Bluff and St. Mary's, we're consolidating these precincts to increase election efficiency. And then finally, Woodbine is getting a new, more spacious polling location that is still convenient to voters. So that's all I had for you today. And now I'd like to open the floor up to any questions you might have. And if you have a question, would you please raise your hand so we can get you the microphone so that you can be heard on the live stream?
I don't have any questions. So we'd essentially, oh, go ahead.
So with the former location being next to the library, will we have enough parking at the historical Kingsland? Because when we were next to the library, we did have that extra parking right next to the fire station. So will we have enough parking?
Yeah, so the city of Kingsland and the Chamber of Commerce has basically opened up this whole lot for us, especially on the side of the building. So parking, we believe, will not be a big issue.
Okay, so how many polling places with this kind of proposal that we just presented tonight provide for the county now? 11. So we would be just going from 12 polling places to 11 polling places, but we'd also be going from 14 precincts to 11 precincts, if that makes sense, okay? So that helps put it a little bit more in perspective too. Our still largest precinct being the PSA or East Kingsland precinct, as well as we have quite a few people at Agape also. Yes.
Can you talk about how you're going to notify the voters with their voting card?
Absolutely. So every voter that is affected by any one of these changes will receive in the mail to their registered address a precinct card. And on that precinct card will contain the name of the polling location that they will now be voting at, as well as the address. In addition, it will contain their district information. So that would be county commission district, board of education district, as well as city and municipal districts. So every single voter that's affected by these changes will receive one of those cards to better inform them of the changes that has happened. And those will be issued by the Secretary of State's office. We will continue to use the rec center. It is the DDS building and then the North Center that right across the way over here that are being combined, and they'll be voting in municipal court. We are currently still using the rec center for the East Kingsland precinct.
Yeah, so this little conference room that we use just on the other side of this grassy lawn right here, we wouldn't utilize that location anymore. And we wouldn't utilize that Board of Education room at the DDS office building. So we condensed those two locations into the municipal court location. There's a secure facility, spacious, outlets, handicap accessible, kind of checks all of our boxes for a unique, a new location. However, it's very, very close to both the voters that were voting at the DDS, especially to the voters that were voting right here.
So we're in our upcoming board meeting, we're going to start, the board plans to start the notification process for these changes to occur. And then moving forward, I believe in the November meeting, right? That we will vote, the board will vote to finalize those changes. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so these are just proposals. So the committee goes back together next week, and our 9-member committee will meet again, make sure we've heard all the feedback we can get from as many people as possible, not just at these meetings, but anyone that we're talking to. Bring that feedback back to our committee meeting next week, and then determine if the committee will make a proposal to the Board of Elections members as far as what they would like to proceed with doing. That would be, we hope and we think, in the best interest of the voters for Camden County.
Information that I heard about changes.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so we do, you probably heard maybe about the church down the street. We've looked at, it's really, that's our biggest challenge, is finding large enough, suitable enough locations to vote in, that check all of our boxes. And there's some people that don't want us at their facility. And then we can find a place that works for everybody, and it'll be very good, I think, for the upcoming big election year. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, great. It's nice to see you here, Mayor Smith. Okay, any other questions? Oh,
Sure,
yeah.
I can point this out for you. So down here is our map that was put together by our awesome GIS team, or Geographical Information Services team. So if you'll notice, there are only two really places with color on these maps. So I'm gonna go ahead and point out the man praying right down here, if you can see it. Yeah, those are the voters. So that's not a precinct on its own. That is the changes that we made to the North St. Mary's precinct. So the people in this red area are the people that will be experiencing a shift in their polling location. So these voters right here will be going from voting in the Agape facility all the way over here to the St. Mary's Church facility right here. If you notice, it's just a straight shot down for them. And now additionally right here in the blue, this is the historic Kingsland precinct as a whole, because every single person in this new precinct would be experiencing a change in polling location. And they will be voting at this area right here at the Kingsland Municipal Court. So the colored in locations are the places in which individuals that reside in them will see a change to their polling location or their precinct. It's a great question. How many voters?
Go ahead and repeat the question.
Yeah,
please.
so it's a great question. How many voters will be affected? So in the St. Mary's area, we're looking at right around 800. And then for our West King or historic Kingsland change, it's a little bit hard to pin down because we're working with total numbers. That includes active and inactive. So those people will be right around 7,500. But again, so the requirements for the 1 per 250 are only for active voters. So that will be a lower number than the total number of voters active and inactive affected. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So the people in this general area down here, so currently the split is right along Scrubby Bluff Road. Now, everybody on the south side of that street and southwesternly geographically, they'll be voting up here at Kingsland Municipal Court. Well, under the proposed changes.
So this is a process. We started with the committee, making some proposals to the public, and then we have to move forward with what the committee sends off to the Board of Elections for them to determine what to do. And then we have proper notices that we have to put in the legal organ here in Camden County. So we'll have to do display ads, noticing also all of the voters that are in the impacted areas, what our changes would be. So different things like that will have to be met over the next 2 months, as well as we'll continue to do more notifications early into 2024, since our first election will be on March the 12th, and that's election day. So go back up 3 weeks from before that, and that's when we will have early voting beginning. So we've got to get the word out by January, before January, because we'll be early voting come February. Okay, any questions? Okay, the question is about Woodbine. What was it again? Okay, so there was supposed to be an election in Woodbine on November the 7th. They qualified a couple of weeks ago, and just the 3 incumbents qualified for the 3 positions that were up. So there will not be, we'll put the official cancellation will be in next week's newspaper. But yeah, there won't be an election until March. Any other questions? We can answer. We'll be around after if you if you think of something as we're closing down. But we really appreciate this. Help spread the word and talk to your friends and keep an eye on what the Board of Elections does with this information moving forward. And be on the lookout for changes for next year, because we want next year to run very smoothly. And we're going to need your help to spread that word for us. So if there's no further questions, but thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Yeah. There you go.